Okay, it's another marketing related video. We talk about channels of distribution. So first we're going to talk about the importance of marketing channels. It goes without saying that we need to have a way to get our products and services to our customers. And sometimes we can do it directly, but many times, especially with products, there are intermediaries. And these intermediaries are there to make the distribution and selling process more efficient. And these intermediaries offer their partners more than they can achieve on their own. Market exposure, technical knowledge, operational specialization, and scale of operation. We're going to talk about some of these as we go along here. Now, here's an example of how channels intermediaries can make channels of distribution more efficient. So we have manufacturers, customers, and a distributor here. And without a distributor, we have these customers that are interacting individually with the manufacturers, and the manufacturers have to interact with them individually as well. But if we can go through an intermediary like a store, then all of the customers can go to that store, and all the manufacturers go to the store, and it reduces the number of channel transactions tremendously. Very simple idea. Other functions besides increasing efficiency is helping match the needs with products, providing physical distribution and logistics. Oftentimes intermediaries provide financing, and also intermediaries often take the risk because they're holding the product or service, and the risk that it's stolen, risk that it's damaged, risk that technology changes. They're holding that particular risk. So intermediaries can play a significant role. In fact, if an intermediary is not adding value in some sort of way, that intermediary will probably get competed out of the market. So just having an intermediary isn't good enough. The intermediary needs to provide some value add. Here's a graphic looking at the consumer and business marketing channels. We have looking at consumer on the left, A, and business on the right, B. If we go all the way to channel 1, we see it's directly from the producer to the consumer, without an intermediary. In the second example, here and also here, we have a single intermediary. On the consumer side, it's a retailer, and on the business side, it's a business distributor. Then in the more advanced channel, there are two sets of intermediaries. There's a wholesaler and a retailer on the consumer side, and on the producer side, there's a manufacturer's rep and a business distributor. Now, we see all of these types of setups in reality, and also they get much more complex than this. But this is the basic outlook, whether there be one intermediary or many intermediaries. Now, again, remember, the intermediaries are adding value in some sort of way, or should be adding value in some sort of way, or they're going to be, as we said, not long in business. Now, just because we have these channels don't necessarily mean that they're always in cooperation. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. Again, a channel works best, most effective, when each member of the chain performs their task and performs the task that they do best, with the ultimate goal of the chain itself kind of optimizing. But that's not how it is all the time. Sometimes you have conflict, channel conflict it's called. In this example of horizontal conflict, it's when it's a conflict among firms that are at the same level in the channel, retailer to retailer. For example, two retailers compete to carry supplier's exclusive product. If it's exclusive, it kind of really has to be limited to one, and that might put a conflict between the the retail outlets, which again is the horizontal aspect of it. With the vertical aspect of it, it's conflict between different levels of the same channel. For example, wholesaler and retailer. Like a manufacturer will compete with a retailer in selling products to a target market. Who gets the right to sell it to the target market? The wholesaler, or is it the retailer? Now, just like any other circumstance, some conflict can be helpful in terms of price reduction, and when you compete for customers' business, generally good things happen. However, this conflict can cause problems, not only for us, the entrepreneur of the business, but also for the channel partner as well. Now, this is an example of this Goodyear tire, and Goodyear tire sells directly because it has its own stores, so it's competing with the independent dealers. So as a result, what happened is Goodyear's replacement tire business has been hit really, really hard. Because why should I sell your products when you can go around me and sell my products at a better price? What benefit do I have of supporting you then? In another example was Apple. Okay, this was a big deal when Apple started opening its stores. So although you can buy Apple products through authorized dealers around the world, Apple continues to open Apple stores, and the thought was this was going to be really, really bad. But what do you think? Has this been a problem? It turns out that it really hasn't been that much of a problem. In large part is that there's so much demand for Apple products, there's enough business to go around, and those folks who really want the Apple Store experience, and there's an Apple Store nearby, really get that Apple Store experience. And those who know what they want and just go in for a product can just go into the local authorized dealer and buy it. But if you want the whole the whole Apple experience, or you're unsure of your purchase, going to an Apple Store is a great experience. And as we mentioned in another lecture, they have one of the highest per foot or per square meter or per square yard sales of any business in the world, because they do it in a special sort of way. So Apple has been able to successfully avoid a potential problem, although there is still technically conflict there. Here's the final little example. Now, Wolfgang Puck, for those you don't know, is a very famous chef. Originally he's Austrian, and went to California and in the early 70s and did really well. And so he has a series of restaurants, but he also sells his food in a branded way in grocery stores. Emeril is another famous TV chef who sells his products as well. So we have something from Emeril, we have some Wolfgang Puck, we have some coffee that you can get at Starbucks. We have Taco Bell tacos. Looks like you just have to heat them up. And we have buffalo wings from Fridays. And the question is, which one do you think will have the most problems with this conflict? I mean, if we look at Emeril's and Wolfgang Puck's, these are basically raw materials for cooking, so we actually have to do a lot of the cooking. So we're not going to not go to Wolfgang Puck's restaurant or not go to Emeril's because we bought his sauce. So there's no conflict really there. And with Starbucks, do you go to Starbucks for the coffee per se? Do you go there for the ambiance? Do you go there for the whole experience? Do you go there for the expertise of the people making it? I would say probably it's all of those things and above. Although there might be some people who might stay home given the fact that they have Starbucks coffee at home. But if they don't have the machine and they don't know how to use it and all of these sorts of syrups and whatnot, they probably are still going to go to Starbucks for that. But if we look at this Taco Bell and Fridays, heating the tacos in the oven looks pretty much like Taco Bell. And the wings pretty much are like the wings that you would get. So those two might reduce the the chance of people going to the store. So those two might have the greatest risk of causing channel conflict. Okay, let's move on to marketing systems. And here's a vertical marketing systems. When producers, wholesalers, retailers act as a unified system. As a unified system. Now, it's a little bit different than this kind of chain that we're talking about. We're talking about the producers, retailers, wholesalers kind of working together. And it can happen, again, when companies are more vertically integrated. It can happen through contract. And it can happen through channel power, which means that one of the channel partners is extremely powerful and kind of corrals the other into working with each other. Now, what are the advantages of a vertical marketing system? Well, in the traditional manner, these businesses are working relatively independently, trying to maximize their own profitability. But when it's working as a system, they're working kind of together to maximize the entire chain. And so it might result in a better experience for the customer. It also might result in a better profits actually for the system, because they're trying to optimize one thing as opposed to the producer trying to optimize, the wholesaler trying to optimize, and the retailer trying to optimize. Franchise organizations, we've talked about this in another lecture as well, is a significant force in U.S. retailing. 40% of all sales. Okay, it's growing in the U.S., in Europe as well. It is certainly a way in which products and services can be channeled to end users. And I'm not going to spend time talking about the advantages and disadvantages. You can very easily read them off the slide here. I'll give you a second. Okay, channel innovation. Now, when we're talking about our business model, remember that the delivery portion of that, the delivery model, is one of the ways in which we can innovate our business model. So how would we go about doing this? Well, here's an example. We just talked about a vertical system. What about a horizontal marketing system where two or more companies at one channel level join together to achieve a marketing goal? Meaning you establish a joint venture with if you're a retail business, another retail operation, or alliances, or partners, or co-marketing agreements, co-distribution agreements, co-branding agreements, working together. Now, sometimes you're competing directly with each other. Other times, you can emphasize different sorts of products. So, working together, you can reinforce kind of the product portfolio, let's say. And oftentimes, it's, for example, expensive to advertise on TV. So one company can't advertise on TV. So maybe if you put together a small partnership or alliance with 3, 4, 5 stores who are selling the same product, they can advertise on TV, and you just at the end show, pick your local. Your local company, or list all the companies at the end of the ad and say you can get this product at these following locations or at these fine retail establishments. So again, they come together to be able to market a product together because they couldn't do it as well independently. So that's one way in which you can innovate in terms of channel. These multi-channel distribution systems. Again, it's reaching the customer segment through multiple marketing channels. Well, we just talked about channel conflict. Well, if you're selling products and services through multiple channels, then you probably are going to run into some of this conflict there. But here's an example again: Starbucks. You can buy at a Starbucks store. You can buy from a supermarket. And again, the problems with multi-channel distribution is that you might have this channel conflict issue. But there are other ways in which companies have successfully innovated in this area, whether it be H&M or Zara, in terms of their ability to handle their logistics and distribution. These are all channel-related innovations. Federal Express and all of those companies. These are business model innovations, but focusing on distribution, logistics, and channel. So let's take a quick break here, and I'll come back as quickly as I can.